The prayer, chosen prayer from the prayers and meditations. This is a collection of the mother's own reflections, own spiritual experiences, own aspirations, her way of seeking the divine. It's a beautiful collection, her own meditations, while she was doing her own yoga. And the chosen prayer today is written by the mother on March 21, 1914. And just a few more days, she would land on the shores of Pondicherry. Her ship Kagamaru is sailing swiftly towards the shores. And it fills me up with a tremendous, you can say, it just is very overwhelming to just think that even the gods must have been waiting with bated breath for the divine meeting when the mother would land in Pondicherry. And the prayers which have been written by her while she is on this ship Kagamaru sailing towards Pondicherry are very profound, as if she is preparing the entire earth, not only herself, but the entire earth for this divine meeting with the Golden Master, which would herald the new creation, which would set the new creation into rolling. So in this prayer, she actually reveals some more home truths of spirituality. She elucidates what is the right attitude one must take while one is dealing with outer circumstances which we are usually facing, even the ones which seem like failures. What direction should we put in our efforts when we are faced with such situations? And while she is writing this prayer, she is also revealing to us the limitations of what we believe we know. We think that good situations, favorable situations, are good for us, and that is the divine's will. But is it so? Do we really open ourselves with a joyous acceptance to every kind of experience that we have? We often don't. And whenever we pray to God, we ask for circumstances to be this way or that way, as pleases us, and we tell the divine, and we think the divine should act according to our will. So the mother somewhere also said, interestingly, this is how most people surrender to the divine. Let God manifest His will, but let it be the same as mine. And in another place she says, the Lord is not an all-powerful automation that human beings can move or operate by push button of their will. And yet most of us, those who surrender to the divine and we want the divine will to take place, we expect God to do as is our conception of Him, what He ought to do. Otherwise He is not God. If He doesn't do that, He is not God. So in this prayer, the mother is actually talking of the supreme wisdom. She herself has called it the supreme wisdom. To will what the divine wills is the supreme wisdom. And it is also the supreme secret. And she has collated this supreme wisdom, this supreme secret, to what is true surrender. When we will what the divine wills, we are in a state of constant communion with the Lord. So in this prayer, the mother is talking of a constant communion, which happens only when we have effectively surrendered to the divine. And when we have effectively surrendered to the divine, it means we are in a state where we always say, let thy will be done and not mine. And this the mother has called as detailed surrender. What do we mean by detailed surrender? What is the consecration that is required of us to go into this detailed surrender? It is when every moment we are in constant communion with the Lord. Everything we do, we speak, we lie down, we talk, we eat, we walk, we go to places. In everything, we are connecting to the divine in some way or the other. And this brings a raise in the consciousness. And when that happens, whatever will happen will be the best for us. Also, interestingly, while clarifying the doubts of the disciples, the mother categorically said that it is an error to think that the divine will is always acting openly in the world. All that happens, is it the divine will? And the mother clarified, all that happens is actually not the divine will. At the core, yes. Because at the core, the omniscient, the all-present, the supreme consciousness wills. And that is why the creation is there. But while the divine will is expressing itself in the world or manifesting, there are, you can say, a myriad of adverse forces, lower energies, which are going to translate it. And once that happens, the translation is not as according to the supreme will, because it has gone through a lot of tumbling over, a lot of, you can say, churning, turmoils of not only us who are willing, but also others around us. So in the process, what happens is, if we start thinking that whatever in the world is happening is the divine will, we may actually let ourselves into a, you can say, a web of hostile forces. And we may lend ourselves to the adverse forces thinking. Because the distortions in the world, they are a proof that the divine will, when it is expressing itself in the world, it is through many distortions. And we don't want that distortion. The divine certainly doesn't want it. So what is the way? The mother would be revealing in this prayer. And importantly also, we must remember that at the same time, when we think that the situations are very favorable for us, the so-called good situations, you can say, which are favorable to our conditions, we must not, they necessarily do not mean that the divine actually wants us to go in that direction. A cozy family life, one is very settled, happy, contented, resting contented, that there is nothing more that is needed in life. And what is the pit that we are falling into? We will not aspire for something better or something higher. So can we call that as the situation which will move us on the spiritual path? It may be the enemy of the spiritual path then. And also a very good job, very ambitious, all ambitions met, doing extremely well in the job. It may be your enemy in the spiritual path. It may take you away from that. We may start glorifying that everything is happening. Money, is it a proof that we are on the spiritual path? The mother has actually said that it is easier for the camel to pass through the eye of the needle. It is actually something she lifted from the Bible. The Bible says this. It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of the needle than to make a rich man turn towards God. So the situations, and I am reminded here of a very interesting question which one of the disciples asked Sri Aurobindo. Can the divine fail? And Sri Aurobindo's answer was, yes, why not? If failure suits him for his ultimate purpose. So the world has, Sri Aurobindo says, the world has progressed by half a dozen events, and most of them have been failures. So failures actually pave the way for further progress, especially on the spiritual path. Today everybody is talking of equality, liberty. Where is it originating from? The French Revolution failed, isn't it? The First World War also. What good did it bring? It brought nothing except pain, agony. But today, every child, every teenager is talking about equality, liberty, freedom. It is all stemming from that failure. 1857 mutinies, the Sepoy Mutiny. Mangal Pandey lost his life. It was a failed, you can say, revolutionary movement. It was the starting point, but it failed. But that lit a spark. And in Mangal Pandey's own words, no, Hindustan jaag raha hai. But the movement had failed. Mirabai, she was thrown out of the palace. Then Rani Lakshmibai, she lost the battle, she lost her life. But what spark it lit in the hearts of all Indians. Also reminded of Krishna ji ka ek naam hai Ranchhod, where he runs away from the battlefield. He wants to set up Dwarka, leaving Mathura, and everybody is aghast All his ministers and subjects are aghast. What are you doing? You are not capable. We are very much capable of winning this. He says, no. He had other plans. He wanted everybody to leave Mathura for his own reasons, because it had a lot of, you can say, remnants from Kansa's life. And he wanted to settle Dwarka, so he runs away. And we know the famous story of Kalyavan. He's chasing Krishna. Krishna, it seems as if he's running away. And finally he leads him to Muchkund's cave, where Muchkund is sleeping. And Muchkund ji ko var mila hua tha कि अगर उनकी नींद किसी ने खराब करी, if somebody disturbs him in his sleep, he has the power to, he will just be turned to ashes. So Kalyavan goes there and Krishna, he अपना अंगवस्त्रम उनके ऊपर डाल देते हैं. He thinks Muchkund Rishi is actually Krishna. And the Muchkund Rishi, he wakes up. He was actually a king who was fighting on the side of the gods, and he decided to go on a long sleep, Muchkund. And finally Kalyavan, what happens? Bhasm ho jate hain. He's turned to ashes. So it does not mean that when we have a demand list, our own wish list, and we write 1, 2, 3, 4, this is our demand list, and we sign and we give it to the Lord, is that the right approach that we are making? Thinking that he ought to do this, he need to fulfill these wishes because he is the divine. He must. So is this the right approach? And this is very beautifully brought out in this prayer, where the mother is telling us what to ask from the divine, how to ask, and how to receive what he gives. Do we have that faith and that joy and that acceptance that whatever comes thereafter, it's all his will? We'll read the prayer. March 21, 1914. Every morning my aspiration rises ardently to thee, and in the silence of my satisfied heart, I ask that thy law of love may be expressed, that thy will may manifest. And in anticipation, I adhere with joy and serenity to those circumstances which will express this law and this will. Oh, why be restless and want that for oneself things should turn out in one way and not another? Why decide that a particular set of circumstances will be the expression of the best possibilities and then launch into a bitter struggle so that these possibilities may be realized? Why not use all one's energy solely to will in the calm of inner confidence that thy law may triumph everywhere and always over all difficulties, all darkness, all egoism? How the horizon widens as soon as one learns to take this attitude. How all anxiety vanishes, giving place to a constant illumination, to the omnipotence of disinterestedness. To will what thou willest, O Lord, is to live constantly in communion with thee, to be delivered from all contingencies, to escape all narrowness, to fill one's lungs with pure and wholesome air, to get rid of all useless weariness, be relieved of all cumbrous loads, so as to run briskly towards the only goal worth attaining, the triumph of thy divine law. O Lord, with what joy and trust I greet thee this morning. one must remember that the main agency to decide the course of events in a sadhak's life is the divine will, which in its supreme wisdom decides what is best for the sadhak in his spiritual life. We faint hearted human beings equate happy and favorable circumstances as good circumstances. And we human beings have yet to realize that we cannot change circumstances unless we turn into gods. And when is that state possible? When we have totally left the ego self behind in that state. Otherwise, we'll not be able to change the circumstances. Otherwise, whatever circumstances we face would be distortions coming to us, would push us into hardships. But with the right attitude, if we can keep, even those hardships, realizing that those hardships have come because my offering or my path, the way I willed, was not right. I did not put it in accordance with the divine will. I asked the divine for something. And Swami Vivekananda has also said, that you have every right to ask things from the divine. Small, big, numerous, anything. ये आपका अधिकार है उनसे मांगना. But you must ask with the faith that whatever you ask is going to come to you. He will grant it to you. But not in the way that you deem right, in the way that He perceives is best for us. Did we ask from the divine with a very sincere want? Mother has said, if you want something very sincerely, you will get it. But be sure you will get it, but it may not be in the same form that you asked. It may be in a very different form. And when we look back on our lives, there are moments where we see that, yes, we kept on asking for a certain thing, it didn't happen. In fact, the opposite happened. But looking back, we realize later on, yes, whatever happened was the best thing to bring me or bring us closer to the divine, to put us firmly on the path. Otherwise, we would have just gone haywire. So, in the opening lines of the prayer, the mother is revealing this highest wisdom, that let thy will be done, let the divine will, let the divine law of love. She's talking of love. Why love? Love is the most potent power. Love is the power which has got the power to transform. इसीलिए तो आया है love, to transform. That's why it has come into the creation. It leaped from the heart of the divine to save the creation, to move back to Him. So it is a bridge. And what is the divine law? The expression of the highest truth. What is our will? It is the power given to us to move our consciousness to do something which has not yet been done by us. That is my will. And the divine will is the expression of the highest truth. And love is the bridge that can actually link my will to His will. Okay. So, ultimately the Supreme will prevail. How we want to collaborate? Do we want to feel the joy of acceptance and moving gladly, bouncing with joy towards the divine? Or we want a tumultuous path, we want a burdensome path where we will lament, cry. Yes, the divine will allow us to do that also. But then, Mother is going to take you in her lap and make sure, if you need wax, she'll give it to you. If you need love, hugs, she will give it to you. But it is her lap. Why worry? So in the very opening lines, the mother is saying, every morning, so this is what she does every morning. My aspiration rises ardently to this. Her aspiration is ardent. And an ardent aspiration is the dynamic upsurge of the being's resolution to be one with the divine. That is what she is feeling. So intense aspiration she is feeling. And in the silence of my satisfied heart, I ask that thy law of love may be expressed, that thy will may manifest. So there is a joyous acceptance. She is effectively surrendering. So in the very first opening line, she's talking of aspiration and she's also talking of surrender. And she's saying, my heart is satisfied. And she's not worried about the circumstances which the divine will put to manifest his law. So she is already she's putting her signature first. पहले ही अपने हस्ताक्षर करके दे रही हैं कि जो भी circumstances होंगे, I am ready. First she puts her signature and then she puts the wish list. And what is on her wish list? That the divine will may manifest. If we look at ourselves, what is our wish list? We will put 1, 2, 3, 4, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. You better make sure I want this, I need it very desperately, and then I will sign and give it to the divine. So she is doing just the reverse. So she is showing us the path. She then reminds us of the mistake that we make with this demand list, which is based on our desire self. She says, oh, why be restless and want that for oneself things should turn out in one way and not another? मेरी मर्जी, आपकी मर्जी हो लेकिन मेरी मर्जी से हो. So why decide that a particular set of circumstances will be the expression of the best possibilities and then launch into a bitter struggle so that these possibilities may be realized? What we often do is, we will make the wish list, we will also tell the divine, we'll ask. And sometimes with open heart, sometimes with not so open heart, but we'll ask. And after asking, we will try and put the solutions even to the divine. If this is the reason, this is why you should be doing this. This is why I'm asking you this. So we also start reasoning with the divine. So tangled is the web of life, that to shape it in a certain way is actually quite impossible for us. We have all experienced that when we really want to do something bringing for a lot of harmony around us, and we are very focused and we sincerely want it, what happens? Just the reverse will happen, opposite. And then we again launch into that bitter struggle, I was seeking something fine, no, Lord? It seems you don't want this. So, in fact, the struggle for the supposedly favorable set of circumstances will lead us to perpetual pain and to a very long and vain strife. That is what it is going to do. So the mother says, why can't we live in a state of satisfaction instead of being dissatisfied with everything, asking or not asking? Even when we get things, we are still dissatisfied. Thoda sa aur mil jata. Or we ask something from the divine, and after a few months it happens. By that time, that need has also finished in us. And then we will tell, why did you give it to me now? Arey, manga to aap hi ne tha. So through the distortions it came to you, it got delayed. But you only asked for it, no? And sometimes the divine does play the bait game. Yes, whatever you ask, he will readily give it to you. So that is the divine mother's way of patting you. एंड जैसे नर्सरी एंड किंडर गार्डन में बच्चों को हम अप्रिशिएट करने के लिए बहुत कुछ बोल देते हैं, हाँ अच्छा है अच्छा है अच्छा है. सो द मदर विल ऑल्सो डू दैट, ग्रांट यू अ लॉट ऑफ विशेस. बट एज यू गो टू हाई स्कूल, एज यू गो टू कॉलेज लेवल, you will have to fend for yourself. You will have to realize that the divine is there. The divine is ready to give you everything. Only thing he wants is that communion. And that communion comes with love. Communion comes with surrender. That is all that he is seeking. So, when we have this conviction that whatever has to happen anyway will happen, the divine is anyway taking care of it, and it will happen. Whether I put my effort or not, creation will move towards the new creation. It is moving forward only. Okay. But what I can do is, I can lift my own consciousness and collaborate in this process. And what is going to be my benefit? That joy, that utter blissful state, and that you become carefree. Because after that, what the Lord is doing is His game. And we start enjoying every kind of situations, even the darkest of moments. We actually start telling the divine, oh, andhera kar diya hai, so you are hiding somewhere. Come on, show me your face. So that is That is the attitude which the mother is propagating again and again. You commune with the divine. I am going to eat this meal, Ma. Sit with me and eat this meal. Give me that right energy to do your work. Why will she not give it to you? Flower fragrance touches you. Don't you feel something divine in that? Are you not communing? Only thing we have to do is we have to instantly get into that connection. And then everything that will happen will be for the best. हो ही नहीं सकता ऐसा कि ना हो. So outer difficulties actually shape us. If you look back, Surdas ji was blind. But was his blindness a hindrance for him, or it was a gift? It turned out to be a gift for him. He had the inner vision. Mirabai was thrown out of the palace. And after she went out of the palace, she could do what she wanted. Unite with the Lord. Staying in the palace, she could not have done that. Sudhamurti, once in one of her stories, she said very rightly that it is very difficult. We think we have a lot of wealth, money, and it is, we are satisfied, and it gives us a lot of sense of comfort and a lot of power also. But she says, it is very difficult to bring up children when there is money in the family. And I think all of us will agree to that. So much of consumerism and the materialism that we see today. You go to a kindergarten school and you relate it to what we studied with, just a pencil and a rubber. Now everything is scattered all over the place. The kids ask for the things and it is made readily available to them. Is this struggle for them? Are they learning something with this? No. They are not even learning how to do things on their own, how to fend for themselves, how to fetch things for themselves. So are we making them powerful by money, by this cushy life that we are giving them? No. It does not mean that money is bad. Money has a great power, Sri Aurobindo has also said. But in the right hands, it can do wonders. And money to be put at the service of the Lord. Bhamasha, Rana Pratap, he was defeated in the battle and he was taking shelter in the forest. Who helped him? Bhamasha. He donated all his wealth to Rana Pratap and he won back his kingdom with that. So these are exceptional cases. But taking everything that has been given to us as gifts from the divine to be put at the service of the divine. And when we start finding joy in that, then we can be sure that we are in communion with the Lord. And thy will, when we say, Lord, thy will be done, even our smallest of needs, if we have to move in the spiritual path, it will come to us. All aids, all help, whatever you need to read, whom you need to meet, where places you need to visit, everything will be arranged for you miraculously. Subah se shaam ho jati hai, raat ho jati hai. Do we think that from morning till night, so many things, hundreds and thousands of things have occurred around us? Isn't it a miracle that we are still having a bed to sleep in and we are reflecting on the day's events and thanking the Lord? That is a bigger miracle than those very big miracles, We are in a dire necessity of something and then some miracle happens and we get it. Then we start thanking the Lord. Oh, Lord, you are great. But are we also thanking the Lord for these little things, these little acts that we are passing through? And yet, we rise to a new morning. That is a greater miracle happening throughout the day. Do we realize that? And in the next part of the prayer, the mother shows the ideal state that one needs to be in. She says, why not use all one's energy solely to will in the calm of inner confidence that thy law may triumph everywhere and always over all difficulties, all darkness, all egoism. She's not only praying for me and you or myself, all, everywhere. That is the divine law. The triumph of the divine law would mean triumph for everyone. How the horizon widens as soon as one learns to take this attitude. How all anxiety vanishes, giving place to a constant illumination, to the omnipotence of disinterestedness. So basically she's saying, leave everything to the divine. He is there. He will take care. The thing you have to do is remain quiet, tranquil, with a calm and inner confidence. Turn to the divine, and the rest is in his hands. The mother has also revealed that the secret of this godly state, when we are calm, when we know that the divine will is going to manifest, this inner confidence that we are getting, what is the secret? The secret of this godly state lies in disinterestedness. Most of the times we are doing things by putting ourselves in the center, and things should work around us. When we give up that, when we give up the desired self, when we don't do things for ourselves, putting ourselves in the center, when we are able to do that, we become the marvelous instruments of the divine. And if the instrument is illumined, widened, and purified, this disinterested action will become a contagion. It will become irresistible, and it will have the power to become omnipotent. It can do anything. Then the hardest of the tasks you will be able to do, because you are now the instrument of the mother. You are the instrument of the divine, for the divine manifestation on earth. And that is our role. This aggregate that I call myself in space and time is nothing but a transitional being, but the only role we have is to become an instrument for the transformation of matter. And for that, the divine will is working. But we have to consent to that. And we have to make all efforts so that we, as instruments, are widened, illumined, calm, serene, turned upward to the mother. This is actually, when we look at this prayer, this is actually taking the yoga of the Gita, the Nishkam Karma. We have always heard of Nishkam Karma. Do the work but leave the results to the Lord, Nishkam Karma. But this prayer, the mother, the way she's putting it, is taking the yoga of the Gita to another level. Yes, Nishkam Karma karna hai. But what is the purpose of Nishkam Karma? Why should we do Nishkam Karma? It is to manifest the divine will. That is the purpose that the mother is, she can elucidating through this prayer. To will, she says, to will what thou willest. To will what thou willest, O Lord, is to live constantly in communion with thee. And the reverse is also true. It's true vice versa also. When we are in constant communion with the divine will work through us. To will what thou willest, O Lord, is to live constantly in communion with thee, to be delivered from all contingencies, to escape all narrowness, to fill one's lungs with pure and wholesome air, to get rid of all useless weariness, be relieved of all cumbrous loads, so as to run briskly towards the only goal worth attaining. And what is that goal? The triumph of thy divine law. So when we are in this state of constant communion, and to will what thou willest, in this state when we are, gone is all our tiredness. Most of our tiredness comes, most of the fatigue that we feel comes from the restlessness which we have created, either by not doing anything or by doing something and placing arguments before the Lord in wanting this and that. Most of the tiredness comes from that. From the, you can say, the loads of thoughts, the loads of depression, the loads of pessimism, the loads of turmoil that we carry always within us. Maang to lete hain. But that's what the mother is saying. We must know how to ask. And when we know how to ask, automatically we will also be recipients, true recipients, become the true recipients. Patra, you say. We are mostly like this. Okay? Even while when we as instruments are, ulte pade hue hain, even like that, the divine is surrounding us. And it is the divine's effort that we turn this way. and वही करेंगे. Okay. So for this, if he has to toss you around with situations and all, and it is a situation which we have created for ourselves, and then we put the blame on the divine. Okay. So divine is anyway there. The divine will is anyway going to triumph. So the triumph of the divine law means the triumph of light, the triumph of truth, the triumph of love, the triumph of beauty, not only for me, but for everyone. She's saying all egoism, from every place. And these loads that we are carrying, once, like you say, no, सौंप दिया है भार तुम्हारे हाथों में, अब जीत भी तुम्हारे हाथों में और हार भी तुम्हारे हाथों में. But we have to accept that joyfully. So we have to see that spark, we have to see that ray of light which has got clouded by our own thoughts, by our own worries, by our own demand list that we have put. If we can just efface all that out, we'll see the light clearly. And then there will be no worry. And just like here, there is a metaphorical reference to fill one's lungs with pure and wholesome air. You know, when everything around us, when we have put our will to the Lord and we say, let thy will be done, we will find that all cobwebs around us of worry, fear, turmoil, they are going to fall dead on the ground. And then we breathe in this air. That means we breathe in the life force with a renewed energy. And when all the loads have gone and we are breathing in this renewed energy, then we can run briskly, no? That's what she's saying. Briskly towards what? Towards what is the goal that you have, Lord, set for me. Then I will be a brisk runner. I will sprint actually. Why run only briskly? I will sprint towards you. So that is what the mother means over here. So there is only one way of giving up all our narrow shackles. We have to let go of the ego self, you know. And love has the power to do that. In the last prayer, we had discussed that ego does not disappear, but love makes the ego boundaries collapse. You know, then everybody starts coming into that, within that boundary of love. And when love touches all, there can be no ego. Only love has got that power. And when we are in constant communion with the Lord, with the divine, it means that we are actually in that bridge of love which the mother has created. We are in that circle of love. And then somewhere the mother has also said that in the presence of the circumstances that are just about to happen, if we put ourselves in a higher state of consciousness to the highest that is within our reach, if we can put ourselves in that high state of consciousness, then whatever will happen will always happen for the best for you and for everybody around you. And that is a sure shot sign that the divine will is actually manifesting. There is a Hindi prayer, no? In the temples, they sing it every evening, I think. Om Jai Jagadish Hare. In the last paragraph of that song is so profound. He says, Tera tujhko arpan, kya lage mera? Everything you have given, you have made me, you are there, within, outside, everywhere, up, down. When I say I give you something, I don't know, it's also one ego self that I am giving. What is it that I have that I can give you? It's all yours. So what even I am offering to you, it's yours. I'm surrendering everything that is yours only. Nothing is mine. Then she says, she ends this prayer, O Lord, with what joy and trust I greet Thee this morning. So every morning she is praying like this, with joy and trust, with ardent aspiration and an effective surrender to will what Thou willest. Let us read this prayer once more. March 21, 1914. Every morning, my aspiration rises ardently to Thee, and in the silence of my satisfied heart, I ask that Thy law of love may be expressed, that Thy will may manifest. And in anticipation, I adhere with joy and serenity to those circumstances which will express this law and this will. Oh, why be restless and want that for oneself things should turn out in one way and not another? Why decide that a particular set of circumstances will be the expression of the best possibilities and then launch into a bitter struggle so that these possibilities may be realized? Why not use all one's energy solely to will in the calm of inner confidence that Thy law may triumph everywhere and always over all difficulties, all darkness, all egoism? How the horizon widens as soon as one learns to take this attitude. How all anxiety vanishes, giving place to a constant illumination, to the omnipotence of disinterestedness. To will what Thou willest, O Lord, is to live constantly in communion with Thee, to be delivered from all contingencies, to escape all narrowness, to fill one's lungs with pure and wholesome air, to get rid of all useless weariness, be relieved of all cumbrous loads, so as to run briskly towards the only goal worth attaining, the triumph of Thy divine law. O Lord, with what joy and trust I greet Thee this morning.